First, Barb, I know you believe that this pardon was justified. How do you respond to even allies of the president who say this is bad for the rule of law, bad for trust in the justice system, and bad precedent overall to set?
Yeah, I think the biggest concern is Joe Biden's flip-flop on this. At one point, he said he would not pardon his son, and now, of course, he has done so. And I think that is probably where this feeling of betrayal comes from. But I also think you have to look at the fact that circumstances have changed since he made those statements. We've had Donald Trump, now elected president, and vowing to seek retribution against his political rivals. How better to get back at Joe Biden than to go after Hunter Biden, his son? And so I think that there are, two aspects of this pardon that are kind of intertwined. First, there are the charges, which I think most prosecutors would have exercised their discretion to decline to file these charges. The gun charge, the tax charge are not typically charges that would be filed by any U.S. attorney in the country. So taking that part off the table, I think, makes a lot of sense. The other, of course, is this sort of blanket pardon for anything that may have occurred between 2014 and 2024. Again, we know that Congress and the special counsel looked very hard to find crimes by Hunter Biden for his service on the Burisma board with respect to Ukraine and China, and found nothing. But in this next administration, with the vows that Donald Trump has made, it seems very likely that he would go after Hunter Biden even without any evidence of a crime. And so I think because of that change in circumstances, this was a prudent call. It was a decision that Joe Biden made to protect his son from going forward.
Yeah, it was especially broad, perhaps the broadest pardon since Nixon, according to the experts. I want to play some sound with President Biden because you touched on this sort of flip-flop or reversal. This was President Biden and his team over months specifically saying he wouldn't pardon his son. Listen.
Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
Have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Was your son able to get a fair trial? Do you believe the Justice Department operated independently of politics?
I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
But then in his announcement of the pardon, President Biden said, I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted, and it is clear that Hunter was treated differently. Barb, the president did have the option of dismissing Weiss as U.S. attorney earlier on in the probe. He didn't. And as Weiss is now pointing out, multiple judges ruled this wasn't selective prosecution. Does that weaken the president's justification?
Well, there's selective and vindictive prosecution as a matter of law. Selective prosecution says, I've been treated differently from other people. It's difficult to find evidence that other people were not charged with a crime. Proving a negative can be very difficult. So as a matter of law, I don't think there's any evidence of selective prosecution. Same with vindictive prosecution. That means you were prosecuted simply for executing a legal right. So, for example, if someone takes an appeal and they prevail and they come back and then get sentenced to something harsher, that's vindictive prosecution. So those things were not here. However, this is an example, I believe, of a use of a prosecutor's discretion to target someone in an instance where they ordinarily would not do so. The gun charge based on drug addiction, almost never filed. Prosecuting someone for unpaid taxes that are then repaid with interest and penalties is something that is typically resolved civilly instead of through criminal charges. So I do believe that Hunter Biden was treated differently than any other person would have been treated, even if it did not arise to the level of legal selective or legal vindictive prosecution.
Barbara McQuade, thank you for offering that perspective and understanding to all of us. Appreciate it.